The last 10 days have been very tumultuous in Silicon Valley as the biggest companies, Facebook, Google and Twitter, were hauled in front of US Congress to explain just how much influence Russian-backed operatives had over the US election and some of the things that have come out of it in terms of the way Facebook and Twitter and YouTube were used has been incredible. We're talking about fake ads, we're talking about fake identities. So to discuss this, we have our panel this week. Olivia Rosenman is from the Expressionist podcast and she is the executive producer of The Fourth Estate, a media and technology show on Sydney's 2SER. And we have Peter Marks, who is the technology editor for RN Breakfast, and he does work with GovHack. What stood out to you out of the stuff that came out of Congress this week?
Some of the US senators made pretty good points. They said, look, you guys are really smart. You've built these incredible startup businesses, which are now, huge global powers, and yet you can't work out the political ads are being paid for in rubles. I mean, you're just not concentrating. So I think the point has kind of emerged that basically these businesses were in startup culture, which is let's move fast, let's break things, let's build up. But there's some bad stuff going on. And some of the things that emerged were the huge numbers of fake accounts, the bots running on Twitter.
The ads really stood out to me. These ads of like famous sort of liberal Hollywood kind of figures like Aziz Ansari, the comedian, holding up a thing saying, you can text your vote instead.
That's right. Don't form a queue.
Yeah, don't go vote properly.
Online by texting Hillary to this number.
Which I was just like, I was agog when I saw.
So it's destroying possible votes.
Yeah, and for the first time we've seen numbers around these ads. So Facebook admitted that between 2015 and 2017, those kind of ads were seen by 126 million users. There were 131,000 tweets sent out by 2,700 accounts that were obviously pushing these kind of bizarre fake ads. And YouTube, over 1,000 videos and around 43 hours of content.
Google's YouTube is pretty small in the scheme of things.
In comparison. But 126 million users, I mean, that's around half of the US population, or certainly would be half of the US voting age population.
Because of the brilliant targeting where you can target people by their location, but also if you look at Facebook targeting, you can target by their political views and whether they're active and which party they are aligned with, that kind of thing, just based on their likes. What it means, though, in an election, normally in an election, you see, one party sees what the other party is saying because it's on TV or it's in the newspaper. In this case, no one knew what they were being told. And if they were being told completely false things, there was no way to respond to that.
Yeah.
You can watch footage of these hearings. And it's amazing because it's all these old white guys in suits, right? And so Facebook didn't send along Mark Zuckerberg or Sheryl Sandberg. No. They sent along Colin Stretch, who is this smooth-looking, the chief legal counsel. But it just seems so bizarre that you've got all these old crusty white guys talking about this amazing technology. I mean, and they talk about it in well-informed ways, but it's so removed from the reality. And the hilarious thing that happened is after they made these appearances, all the senators went and shared little clips of them interrogating Colin Stretch on Facebook.
Yeah. One of the curious things about this whole exercise is that it puts these core big internet companies at a very, very difficult position where they are basically being forced to argue that they don't have as much influence as they think that they do, which is, of course, the exact opposite argument of what they put forward to the advertising industry, which is that we have much more influence than any other form of media. And I love that they're being put in this position where they have to argue against their own financial interests. And it's just very, very fascinating to see them kind of contort themselves.
And they were each asked, are you a media company? And they all said, no, we're not media. We don't make any content, hardly any content. We're just a platform the platform is whatever people make of it. So they were trying not to be held responsible for the content on there. The implication is maybe there needs to be regulation. They need to be regulated the same ways TV, newspapers, press media is, and they're trying to desperately say, no, we don't want that.
Yeah, well, and the difficulty around regulating it is, as you said, it's this startup culture. It's move fast, break things. It changes so quickly. Making laws takes a ridiculous amount of time, and by the time they make a law, the technology may have moved on several steps.
I constantly come back to that line from Jurassic Park, which is you guys are moving so fast to work out whether you could do it. You never stop to consider whether you should do it. I feel like that just sums up Silicon Valley sometimes.
Yeah, and it's Facebook has 2 billion monthly users. That's like almost a third of the world's population. There's kind of this sense in all of this. And I think it is funny because it's not making huge headlines, certainly, or not here in Australia. But like
the implications are massive.
It is. And it's like there's this they've created this Frankenstein monster, and they don't even seem really in control of it.
I think there was one question, I think it was to Twitter actually, about does a foreign national power buying political ads on your platform breach your terms of service? And they said, no. Yep. They said, maybe you might have breached some stuff about hate speech or something like that. But basically the idea that a foreign power would buy election ads is perfectly fine.
One of my favourite things is that they've all been sent home with homework. And I will actually full credit to YouTube, because YouTube put out a blog post where they've actually outlined what they intend to do. And I think they've got 18 channels that they found on their YouTube platform with known Kremlin-backed content that they're going to do something with. But in terms of tangible, actionable responses from these internet companies, it's been pretty garbage.
Yeah, look, I mean, there was a ton of things where they couldn't answer on the spot, and they said, we'll take that on notice and we'll get back to you. I mean, one of the ones was that one you mentioned really about...
Which just means that we don't want to give an answer on camera, by the
way.
Well,
they've actually got to give a written answer. They've all... I mean, I think there's about 40 different things.
Yeah, but a written answer doesn't make the news, right?
And it's not shareable on Facebook.
That's why they do it. It's not. Yeah. It's just so that they don't end up on a clip.
One of them was this thing about getting Democrats to vote in bogus ways, either by going to a website or by sending a text message. They said how many votes were lost as a result of that. And of course, Facebook was going,
we couldn't possibly
how
answer
can we
that
work
question.
that out? And they said, well, go figure it out. You're smart guys. Go and figure it out. You should be able to work out how many people click through, how many people send a text message.
Oh, yeah.
All right, there is much more of this on the podcast. To download this show, it is available now on whichever good podcasting app you use, and also, frankly, some of the mediocre ones. We'll see you there.